The Brothers of Liberty, here to remind you what true freedom is.
Hello and welcome to the Brothers of Liberty with the older brother Kelton here. In this video, we're going to be talking about the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments. Now, I know past few videos I've been harping on the Bill of Rights. I've talked about the Second Amendment, talked about the breakdown of the Declaration of Independence, and added a Ninth and 10th Amendment to that breakdown. And why do you ask? Why keep doing things about the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution? Because people need to be reminded what rights we are losing here. And it's not just because a lot of people want to say, oh, we're only, you're losing the First Amendment right. No, it's more than that right. With all these new laws coming up, red flag laws and everything like that. I already did, like I said, I went in more detail to the Second Amendment and taking other amendment wording and applying it to the Second Amendment of those who want to argue that the Second Amendment is not for today or it was never for the people. Well, this is actually going to be a video on the entire Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments. Now, I don't want to do the other amendments. I want to do Constitution and break it down. And like I said, I encourage people to share these videos because they don't teach the Constitution in the schools anymore. If they do, they take a very left-wing approach to it and tell you, oh, well, see, what the framers really meant was this and not this, as people say. But no, 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 no. Words are words. Definitions are definitions. The framers knew exactly how they were writing it and what they meant. Um, and one thing that's not studied in the even when I was going to school, and I had some teachers from who was older who taught the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, but when we talk about the Bill of Rights, they never mentioned the preamble. Yes, the Bill of Rights also has a preamble. We always hear about the preamble of the Constitution and the preamble of the Declaration of Independence, but we never hear about the preamble of the United States Bill of Rights. So I'm going to read it here. The conventions of a number of the states having at the time they're adopting the Constitution express a desire in order to prevent misconstruction or abuse of its powers that further declaratory and restrictive clauses should be added, and as extending the ground of public confidence in the government will ensure the beneficent ends of its institution. What does that mean? Well, when they talk about when they created the Bill of Rights, they talk about in order to prevent misconstruction or abuse of its powers. In other words, they're not talking about the abuse of powers of people. They're talking about the abuse of powers by the government. The restrictive clauses is not for the people; it is for the government. And I guess that's why they don't want to talk about the preamble, because if you mention the preamble, it actually states why the Bill of Rights was written in order to prevent the government from infringing on our rights. Now, everybody knows the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise therefore, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. In layman's terms, they will not establish a national religion. They will not bar freedom of speech, freedom of press, or uh, and do not bar freedom to protest or bar you from any religious practices. Um, Self-explanatory. Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia be necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Right of the people to keep our guns. Sorry, government. It says do not infringe. That's me. Don't make any laws about it or nothing like that. Yes, there's some people that shouldn't have guns that are criminals who abuses it, but remember, the outlaws will always have the guns no matter how many laws you make. So who are you really trying to do? It's not about safety, it's about control. Tell the truth, government. Amendment 3. No soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. In other words, prevents the government from forcing homeowners to allow soldiers to use their homes. Fourth Amendment. Here's one that is also being infringed on with red flag laws and the oh, health check laws and stuff about guns and stuff. Or, oh, he's a radical, take away his guns. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. For that, you can't even seize anything, too, if it's unreasonable. saying somebody's a danger, you have to have proof. Shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue, but upon probable cause supported by the oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the person or things to be seized. We're entitled to our private property. You need a warrant to search our homes. You need a warrant to search our cars. Just because the police asks you doesn't mean that you are entitled to say yes. You have the right to say no. And a lot of people don't realize that. Fifth Amendment. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject to the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Serious criminal charges, they started by a grand jury, stated by a grand jury, sorry, can't read my own writing. People can't be charged twice for the same offense or have property taken away without just compensation. Cannot be in prison without due process of the law. That also means if you take somebody things away without due process of law, the government's in the wrong. Right against self-incrimination. That's what most people think about the fifth and not all the other things I just read off. Sixth Amendment has to do with courts. In all criminal prosecution, the accused shall enjoy the right of a speedy and public trial by the impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, with district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him or her. Well, it's a him, but her too. But to have compulsory process of attaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistant of counsel for his defense. Now, Sixth Amendment right to speedy and fair trial. Impartial jury, informed of criminal charges. Remember, they have to inform you what you're being arrested for. Uh, Amendment 7, in suits of common law, where the value of controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved. No matter of fact, no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of the common law. The right of a jury trial in federal civil cases. That's pretty much it. Amendment 8. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishment inflicted. Bars excessive bail and cruel and unusual punishment. Now, the last two amendments are the biggest important ones in my opinion. And they tie in with the First and Second Amendments. And a lot of people want to overshadow these. You never hear about the Ninth or 10th Amendment. The Supreme Court never even really ruled on the Ninth or 10th Amendment, because if they ruled on it according to what is written, they have to rule in favor of the amendment, which I think why they try to avoid it, because if they rule in favor, then a lot of their other rulings will go out the window. Ninth Amendment, the enumeration in the Constitution or certain rights shall not be construed or denied or disparaged others retained by the people. Listing specific rights in the Constitution does not mean people do not have other rights that are not written down in the Constitution. We have unwritten rights, are inalienable God-given rights. And that's why the Supreme Court never wants to rule on the Ninth or 10th Amendment, and why lawyers stay clear of that, because they know that if you invoke that, there's only one outcome, at least one common sense outcome, that if you interpret the Constitution, what it could be. And I think that's why the Supreme Court tries to steer clear from those amendments. Amendment number 10, and I'm sorry, the vaccine mandate should have fell in this one. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution or prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectfully or to the people. In other words, the federal government only has the powers delegated in the Constitution, not listed. Any powers not listed belongs to the state or to the people. There is no vaccine mandate in the Constitution, so guess what? Anything dealing with a vaccine mandate goes to the states. Anything dealing with mask, anything like that goes to the state. And of course, the Supreme Court don't want to rule on that, because if they do, then they have to rule that the federal government has a lot of laws or executive orders that was not given to them by the states, but they do it anyway. And if you have a difference of opinion of how you interpret the Constitution, which I don't see how you can interpret it differently unless you're going like this and reading it, feel free to comment. If you have any topics you would like us to discuss, Brothers of Liberty 76 at gmail.com. And we always encourage you to like, share, and subscribe to our videos. We are on YouTube, Rumble, Parler, Facebook, even Telegram. And once again, this is the older brother of Liberty, reminding you what true freedom is and ought to be.